Let's throw our hands in the air as we soar through the sky.
Yatta!
We'll catch the sun with your hand in mine, and if we work as a team, everything will be fine.
Yeah!
Oh, it's Cure of the What Now?
Let's henshin and start the show!
Hello, fellow acolytes of the Church of Cute, and welcome to episode 32 of Cure of the What Now, the one show where we know the answer to, how does a man walk to the end of the runway?
With conviction in their hearts, just sprint at full speed!
What's the most important step, Dalinar? The next one. But this is not a Stormlight podcast.
Dalinar wearing a giant exaggerated bow in his hair in order to talk about the Alethi styles that they're going to be bringing to... Dalinar would never. Sadius might, but...
Adolin for sure would.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, imagine Adolin and Sango as best friends. Hey listeners, if you have no idea what we're talking about, consider checking out our episodes on Stormlight, which is a series by Brandon Sanderson, and we love it, and we are reviewing one book at a time as bonus episodes.
Absolutely. If you're unaware of this series, the first one is Way of Kings, and then after that you can figure out where to go from the Wikipedia machine. It's a great fantasy/science fiction story.
And it has henshins, so it's basically Kamen Rider.
Absolutely. Who are you?
I was getting there. I'm your host, Kat, and I am a mannequin that has come to life.
Wow, incredible.
I don't really want to fight you, I just want to show off this cute hat I found.
Strike a pose. I'm Joel, the co-host, a relative newbie to the series of PreCure, I suppose, relatively. And also, we've got to inflate these balloons! We only have 10 minutes!
Don't Google inflation!
What is wrong with you?
I was just imagining Sango being like, I'm gonna figure out if there's a way that we can do it quickly, and she starts to Google, like, fast inflation, and someone's like, Sango, no!
Sango would be the sheltered girl who doesn't... Actually, all of the younger girls, I think, are sheltered in their own way, because Manatsu grew up basically in the wilderness on this island of, like, population, like, 14 or whatever, and Sango seems like she would be relatively sheltered and relatively, like, honed in on her interests and, like, unaware of anything outside of that, and then Laura's not from around here, so...
So there you go.
Absolutely. We don't have any particular announcements to speak of. Unfortunately, I fell behind on CotWN'tober, so I don't have any more PreCure pictures to share. That's not true. I drew Yuri, whatever her last name is, from Heartcatch, and today I'll be drawing 2 more Heartcatch girls. But we can get right into the discussion question, and today I want to bring a little bit of my real-life experience into this. I recently had to go on a company retreat type thing, and there was fun and activities, and there was also business stuff. And for one of the afternoons, we rented out an arcade, and we went, and a lot of us had fun. And most of us kind of like picked that one game, and we just kept playing it. And we were posting our high scores in the company chat room and stuff like that. So my question is, if the Tropical Girls were to go to an arcade place that has like a couple of arcade games like Marvel vs. Capcom, the fighting games, or like Gauntlet, the action game, or Pac-Man. And then it also had some like carnival-style games like the shootout, like the basketball games, or like the quick draw games. Which games do you think each of the Tropical Club girls would choose as like their special interest?
Asuka for DDR.
Really?
And every time she goes to, like, get a drink of water or something, she comes back and someone has beaten her high score. And she's obsessed with getting the high score back. And by the end of the night, she finds out it's Minori.
Okay, I like that. Is Minori upfront about it, or is she just always gone by the time Asuka comes back?
She's just always gone.
Okay.
Like, she's not lying. She's not doing it on purpose. She just happens to see... Oh, the DDR machine is empty.
Okay. I like that a lot.
Are there any, like, really physical arcade games? You've been to an arcade more recently than I am.
I'm not sure about, like, really physical. There's the, like I said, there's, like, the basketball shooting game. There's the one where you try to hit the clowns with throwing the balls.
What about, and I've seen this in an arcade, so I know that it's fine, Minori for Fruit Ninja?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. We had an intense competition, kind of like what you were saying, where Asuka would get the high score and then someone else would get the high score and then she'd try to top it. We had an intense showdown between two people doing a rhythm game. It wasn't DDR, it was with like giant piano keys, and you had to press them in order, and they went back and forth for like literally like 4 hours. And so I could see Minori being really good at that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Manatsu, would she do like one of the shooting games or like the one where you squirt water at the clowns to knock them over? These aren't real clowns. No cruelty to clowns on Cure of the What now.
Yeah, we respect the hot clown overlords that rule our lives. Oh gosh, I don't know which one. I could see Manatsu getting really excited for like those like pseudo guessing games, like the what's it called? Like the one where you drop the ball and it bounces off the pins and you're trying to get it into the
pachinko.
Jackpot. Yeah, like a pachinko machine. I could see her getting really excited about something like that. I can't think of any that would appeal to Sango necessarily, because I can't think of any games that are like
cute,
dress-uppy or make-uppy or kind of cute. Maybe if there was like some kind of arcade game where like maybe you... Like, I could unironically see her getting into Sonic. That's not an arcade game, but because you're rescuing cute animals at the end of every mission, so I could see that appealing to her, you know?
Okay. I like it.
And then most of these places usually have some kind of a fishing game, so I could see Laura getting into that. But I don't know if that's mermaid racist. Like, she's from the sea, so she must like to fish, right?
Oh man, maybe Laura wants to be good at DDR, but she's really bad at it, so she's pouting.
Laura's absolutely like, oh, I'll have the high score of this game by the end of the night, and she just keeps mucking it up.
You know what Laura does? She figures out which game gives the most number of tickets for the least amount of effort, and she plays only that game. And then she goes to, like, buy her giant bear or whatever, and there's, like, a kid crying because they didn't get enough tickets. And she's kind of like, I guess I could give them my tickets.
Oh my gosh.
She just, like, drops the pile of tickets next to the kid and leaves.
Nice. A cute shipping moment for Laura and Manatsu. Laura tries to do a crane game, and she keeps dropping it over and over again. And then Manatsu comes over and is like, here, I'll show you. And then they get it together.
Karurun gets stuck inside the crane machine.
Oh,
and all
no!
the girls have to try to get him out.
I absolutely love that.
Maybe I'll try drawing Karurun in a crane machine.
Laura in the aqua pot like sneaks in, but then people show up and she can't come out, so she has to like just like sit there and pretend like she's a Tamagotchi or something.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, I think that's about it. So I should probably hit us up with a succinct summary.
That sweet succinct summary. I smell a sweet summary, Mofu.
So this episode is about a fashion show. Sango and her mom at their store typically help out behind the scenes, or they do makeup for some of the models. But one of the models had to drop out, so this guy sees Sango and he's so overwhelmed by her cuteness. In this way, he reflects us, the viewers. He's like, you should be in the show. She gets really nervous at first, but then she decides that you want to make it as cute as possible, and that gives her the courage. We'll talk about it, but basically she has a moment of kind of stage fright, but then she gets over it. Numeri shows up, and they have to fight, and Sango is able to be like, no, I will protect this with all of my strength.
Numeri's like, you can't come help your friends fight the monsters, because I saw earlier you couldn't walk all the way to the end of the runway, and I don't know how to tell Dr. Numeri that those are different situations.
Yes, absolutely. But then they do the show at the very end, and it's a great success.
And there are balloons.
There are balloons. And that has been your succinct summary.
Beautiful succinct summary as always, my darling. Did you like this episode?
It was about Sango. How could I not like this episode?
It was about Sango. Where is Pete the Triceratops? How did he not come on? Now of all times.
Sorry, folks. I was also on a business retreat, and it took time there was a plane delay. Apparently they don't allow Triceratops onto planes anymore.
That's racist.
It is. I'm going to sue them, but I knew this episode was coming out soon, or going to be recorded soon, so I had to, I ran all the way from the, it's so far. Okay, but great episode. I love my girl Sango.
Congrats, Pete.
All right, I'm going to go sue them for dinosaur racism. I'll be back.
Goodbye. Don't tell him, but I don't think they give dinosaurs lawyers.
he'll self-represent, and I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong with the dinosaur trying to quote the law 65 million years or however many million years it's been since the Triceratops roamed the earth.
Beautiful. I also liked this Sango episode. I guess that's true. I liked this episode. I liked that Manatsu wasn't really in it very much, which feels horrible to say because I love Manatsu, but hot dang, does she kind of take over the room, doesn't she?
Yeah, if this show is an ensemble cast, then I think each of them should have moments to shine. And I think Manatsu has had plenty of time to shine. It's okay if she has like an episode or two where she's more in the background, I think.
Absolutely. I did not like that Sango's original character flaw seemed to be that she was not bold enough to stand up for what she wanted and what she thought. She just kind of went along with the crowd. And this episode seemed kind of a setback in that regard. She was still kind of uncertain and shy. You mentioned you were confused about her, like, being afraid that she couldn't do it and then deciding, like, I can do it. What I think that was supposed to be was she thought all of the other girls were better at it than her and she didn't think she was good enough to be on the stage with them. But then when they were all working together to blow up the balloons, she realized we're all working toward the same goal. I can do this. And that's like, she wanted to be part of the group. She wasn't standing up for her own thing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and I do get it. This was her first show, so I could understand her seeing like the other girls and being like, oh, maybe I'm not as pretty as them. So I don't know if she necessarily needed to stand out from the group in her introductory episode. I think it was more like she was just letting other people dictate what needed to be done, and she needed to be able to kind of like stand up for herself. So in this episode, it was, again, she needed to be confident in her own ability to display cuteness or communicate the cuteness. I guess what I meant when I was expressing my confusion is it seemed like the episode focused on, like, delivering cute, which definitely fits in with Sango's brand, but I feel like her hesitation didn't necessarily feed into her not feeling cute. So I'm not sure that these two things are necessarily directly opposed to each other. And I think there's some subtext there, and I think it does make sense, but there was a part of me that was like, is her conflict really in relation to the actual thing that's happening in this episode or not?
Absolutely. So overall, I would say I liked it. It was cute. It was funny.
I really loved the Yareneda designs this episode. There was a part, so the final battle, they ended up fighting a single giant mannequin with a top hat like a big pretty sun hat. Yeah, but no, it's a reference, I think, or maybe it's just drawing from the same inspiration, but there's Oddjob from James Bond. His weapon was a hat that he threw that had like razor blades in it, and so maybe they were making a reference to that, or maybe it's just a common idea for a weapon to have like a throwing hat that is also a ninja star type thing.
Yeah, it could be.
But I liked the way that the Yarenedas looked when they were modeling before they became the giant monster. I think that they were super cute.
Absolutely.
Did you have any other moments from this episode that you really liked?
Not that really stand out. I did like that everybody in the crowd was being kind of normal, and then Manatsu was like screaming.
Yeah, like, your tropic is shining! Oh my gosh!
Oh, and you know what? So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. There was a character, one of the models, way in the background on the runway, and I swear to God, she was wearing a similar outfit that Kirara from Go Princess wore in one of her scenes as a model, and she had the same hair. Yes. So I like to believe that that was a Kirara cameo.
I would absolutely love that. I think that we could have a movie that is just about the various fashionistas. You could have Erika and Kirara and Sango, and there's a couple of others. I can't think of them all off the top of my head. Miyuki, for example.
Cure Princess.
Not Miyuki, Miki. But yeah, I think we could have a really cool episode that's about those groups of people just getting together and having like their own side adventure. But unfortunately, the PreCure series seems to focus exclusively on like the teams. Like Elena Amamiya is never going to go somewhere without the other four tagging along.
Which is a shame, because I think that you could get a lot of interesting interactions by kind of mixing them up, maze, as our girls would say. What about you? Any other favorite scenes or quotes I forgot to shout out?
I don't really think that there was anything else. I guess I did really like the part where Sango had to, as Cure Coral had to run down the runway, they did a pretty good dynamic shot of like her heel digging into not the dirt, but like the ground and like sliding back. That was a good animated shot.
It was. Really quick, I want to touch on something that I feel like should have come like 10 episodes ago, but they finally changed the opening to reflect that Laura has legs and is a PreCure now.
Yes, absolutely. I believe the two places, you and I only caught the one. It's when in the opening the girls use their Tropica Sunshine Bird attack. Laura also jumps in and kicks the evil generals off screen. And then James, friend of the podcast, also posted there's a shot of her when all four girls are running and then they jump and they're kind of like riding invisible magic carpets is how I choose to think of it. Laura jumps on Manatsu's back and they...
Yeah, and she was in that scene before, but with her mermaid tail, and now she's in that scene in her school uniform, which I think is why we didn't catch it, because we weren't looking that closely. But that's pretty cool. I really wonder why they waited so long to change it.
I have no idea. The only thing that comes to mind, and this is absolutely not it, but I just imagine they put some intern in charge of switching out those frames of animation or something, and they forgot, and they didn't catch it till multiple weeks later, and they're like, Frank, or whatever the, a common Japanese name is. I can't believe you dropped the ball. And he's like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'll put it back in.
For sure. Would you like to talk about Futari Wa or Kira next?
Let's get Futari Wa out of the way. Nothing happened in this episode.
Hey, that's not true. They took a baby to the fair.
They are getting closer to Polun. They want to help Polun by saving the world and allowing him to go back home, which is really interesting because I know that sometimes stories need a more personal stake rather than saving the world. But when you have bad guys who are like, we're literally going to destroy everything and replace it with darkness and kill everyone you know and love, going from that to, this baby misses his family, that seems a little weird. It seems like they're de-escalating the stakes.
It really does. Also, Jock King is apparently back, but...
He didn't have any influence.
What did that have to do with the episode? Yeah.
Well, and it's too early. Like, it feels like, at any time he could just come back because it's just that easy. So it takes a little bit of the tension out of the way. So overall, we've been kind of harping on Futari Wa. We want this series to be mostly focusing on the positives, but we are going to eat our vegetables. We're going to get through all of Futari Wa, and then we're going to get through all of Splash Star, the next one?
No, Futari Wa Max Heart, and then Splash Star.
Okay, Max Heart is the one where you get Shiny Luminous. It's the direct sequel. Okay. But this episode really was just more of the same. They need to find the Stonekeeper, and Poland's ability to see the future allows him to know that there's a talking bird. I'm not sure if they're going to find the parrot in a later episode and use that to somehow track it back to the mansion. And they go... This was actually interesting. When Poland is demanding that they go to the festival, but the festival only happens once a year and it's already passed, they decide to take him to the carnival instead, or the amusement park. And the amusement park is actually where the PreCure had their first battle against Pessard in the first episode, and they actually mentioned that, and that's pretty cool. Futari Wa doesn't necessarily work very hard at doing continuity for the most part. For the most part, they will reference what happened last episode, but they never go back further, but this one did.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool. And we watched 2 episodes of Kira, and neither were the episode that I thought they were, so I still have to keep watching with you.
Oh, really?
We're close to an episode that I want to see, but I can't remember exactly which number it is. So.
Okay. Well, there is this cool thing called the internet, where you can look up the descriptions of each episode, and you can kind of figure out from there which one you're looking for.
Here's the thing, Joel.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about the internet, but I know Mark Zuckerberg is involved in it in some capacity, and I don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
So I can't use the internet.
Oh man, do you think that the Facebook outage from last week was actually caused by the Dokutsu Zone? Like, do you think that it was like the Dark Servant doing something?
I think it could be.
Zuckerberg had to call the PreCure in to save the building or the servers.
The PreCure showed up and they're like, now stop using everyone's personal information for evil and we'll defeat the bad guy.
Remember, kids, winners don't do drugs! And then they flew off. This is like some kind of weird American version of PreCure. That is not the same thing as Glitter Force.
Okay.
Okay. So this week, I watched 2 episodes of PreCure, a la mode, longest series title ever. I watched episodes 39 and 40. It worked out really nicely because it actually is basically a 2-part episode, and I didn't know that going in, but I said, I'm going to watch 2 episodes. I have watched one really long episode, really. Next week, I will be watching 3 episodes. There are only 9 episodes left where I am, so for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to try to watch 3 episodes and finish the series. So next week will be episodes 41, 42, and 43. What happened in 39 and 40? Eliseo finds Graves. He's like, did you kill Diable and absorb his essence? And Graves is like, I did, to become stronger. And Eliseo goes, cool, you can become even stronger. And Graves goes, what?
Suyoku?
And Graves unleashes some kind of new power. Diable has the power to increase the darkness in hearts, and Graves uses that on himself, and he becomes super powerful, and the PreCure try to stop him, and their animal go-around is not strong enough. He shrugs it off. He's like, you really think that pathetic attack can defeat me? You'll need at least another form change before you can defeat me. So they...
And lo and behold.
Hey, spoilers! When it looks like he's going to destroy them with darkness, who shows up but Ryo-kun? He's back from the grave. He looks magnificent. He's in his cure... he's...
Cure Waffle.
He's borrowing power from Cure Lumiere, and he looks like a PreCure, but he's not a PreCure. We don't want to get too progressive here.
He has a waffle wand.
He has a wand. He looks like... He looks kind of like one of the, like a Discord type character from My Little Pony, like a ringleader, a carnival guy who can like warp dimensions in order to make all of your wildest dreams come true.
Oh my god, AMV of Julio set to Britney Spears' Circus. I need it yesterday.
Excellent. Rio saves them. Also, Bibri is there, and she realizes that the town is getting taken over by darkness, just like that time that happened to her. So she and Julio are now, like, the PreCure's, like, last line of defense. They're telling the girls to go and, like, save the city while they hold off Diable and distract him and such. The girls try to bake sweets. It looks like it's going to work, but it turns out that the sweets, or the ingredients, were imbued with darkness, which they didn't know until after they baked the cakes and stuff, and then they turned bad, and they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? All hope seems to be lost, but then what happens but Kira comes pouring in from the city. The fairies all banded together. Fairies from across the nation. There's like an apple elder guy, and there's an orange elder person, and there's a chestnut elder, and they each have their own districts, I guess, and they came together, and these fairies wanted to save PreCure. But as has been loosely established before, fairies can't bake very well. So
they can't create enough Kira all by themselves.
Oh, so they enlisted the help of the cats. You remember the cats from a couple of episodes ago.
I believe Yukari was in fact one of those.
She became a cat briefly, and she joined this gang of cats, and they formed a friendship with the cats. So this episode, the cats and the fairies form an alliance, the likes of which history has never seen. And they use that to restore the girls, and now they have an even stronger, more awesome, powerful merchandise that you can buy for 19.99 yen on Amazon.com. Probably. I don't know the actual price. It's probably more than that.
It's probably like $70. Kira merch is expensive.
Yes. But they get a new final attack. It's the same final attack, but it's slightly stronger, and so now it's Fantastique Animal Go Around, I think is the full name. And they defeat Graves. And they're like, hey, Graves, why don't you become a good guy? I don't actually remember if they say anything to him or not, but Eliseo shows up, and Graves is like, Eliseo, save me. And Eliseo goes, nah, I'm gonna absorb your power. And Graves goes, what? And he gets absorbed into Eliseo's cards, because Eliseo is the secret final bad guy, and the reason he told Grave to use this technique was because he knew that it would allow him, Eliseo, to get more power. And that's been your succinct summary.
That was pretty good. What did you think of the form change they got when they used the PreCure castle?
Well, you did mention that they are now side riding on the animals because their dresses are too poofy for them to be able to properly straddle the animals as you would, like with a saddle or something. I think they look amazing. I think that their head things look a little weird. They got like, I don't know, I guess shawls might be the right word. I didn't necessarily enjoy that detail, but they did get more elegant dresses, and they are all queens.
Every single one of them is, in fact, a queen.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the horror of the clay doll Nen people fusing with the people of the city?
It was pretty bad, not gonna lie. The first time I saw this, I was like, geez, that's dark. He turned them all into Nendos.
Yeah, well, okay, so it is very horrifying, and I recognize that this is a kid's show, so they don't want to go, like, too horrifying, but I almost think it might have been better if they had made it sound like the fusion was permanent and there's no way to separate, you know, like, for example, Ichigo's dad from the Nendo.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point, they, like, knock one of them over while they're fighting, and the mask kind of breaks and it shows that the person's underneath. So I thought they would just punch him really hard and the Nen exterior would be shedded and they'd be back to normal. And they don't try that, but like it still felt like there was a chance for them to fix the situation. Whereas if it was like, the city has been lost to darkness, like that would be a truly like end of the world, what are they going to do moment.
I really liked Bibury's observation that the PreCure will never defeat Grave because they are worried about saving the townspeople and they have to be nice, basically. But he doesn't have to be nice. He can kill whoever he wants.
Yeah, the darkness and the evil is unfair. But they don't explicitly say this, but this is counterbalanced by the fact that the way that Ichika and the others try to spread, you know, warmth and joy and all of these good, you know, pretty pure feelings, they bring allies to their side. Rio was only saved from the darkness because they extended a hand of friendship. Bibury was only saved because they extended a hand of friendship. The cats wanted to help the fairies only because of that time that Yukari got turned into a cat.
CL was there too.
Yeah, CL was... Yeah, she existed in that episode.
She helped. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that it's demonstrative of the strength of the PreCure's philosophy. That said, Giulio also was like, ha, these idiots, they can't fight at full strength, so I'll fight for them because I don't care if I kill the townspeople in my efforts to beat Graves.
Absolutely. I think he was lying, though, to be honest.
Probably. This episode did have one of my favorite lines from Graves. The version I saw translated it slightly different than the version you saw, but it basically amounted to, some people are just born evil. I wasn't like Bibury or Giulio. I went to Noir fully aware of my own darkness.
Yeah. It was incredible because so many PreCure seasons, and I think it's an important lesson to teach because there are, oh boy, in the real world, most people do not think of themselves as the bad guys, and so there are some lines that once you cross, it's really hard to uncross them. But for the most part, you can't just assume that everyone's just like an evil bastard. Sorry for the swear. But there are some people who are kind of evil. And so, you know, that's what Grave represents.
You can't friendship everyone into behaving, right? Like Steven Universe, I felt like the finale taught kids the wrong lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do appreciate that in this one. And you mentioned the hot clown conspiracy earlier. We have to talk about Eluzio.
Sure. What do you want to say about him?
I like that he's not nice.
Eluzio is kind of interesting because he almost shows no emotion most of the time that you see him. He doesn't really have, like, different expressions. He doesn't seem to get angry when he loses. You know, contrast this with Kumo, Jackie, or Graves, who I think are very similar characters in their personalities, who do get like, they beat me, grr! Bibury was a lot like that, Giulio was a lot like that. So Eluzio's showing up, and Graves being like, help me, and Eluzio's like, have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z? And Graves went, no, please, no, I'm not the Nappa of the series. But Eluzio just having this
Nappa like cabbage! I'm sorry.
I always thought it was Napa potatoes. I thought, aren't there a type of potatoes called Napa? Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. My point is that Eluzio, by being the way that he is a different type of sinister than angry, punchy, buff guy, you know? There's this air of, like, threat when he's like, I will now take you, PreCure, seriously. I'm wondering if he's going to get a form change. I would give him a form change at this point to show that he's, like, been elevated, but I'm guessing that probably not.
I do love the reveal that we already knew that Noir was kind of manipulating and using all of his underlings, but the reveal that they are literally being used to harvest the darkness in their hearts. So they poke these people into being real evil until they're the most evil, and then they kill them. Mm-hmm. And they become just like another weapon in Elusio's arsenal.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I did forget about that detail because he does give a little bit of a longer speech, but basically all of Elisio's cards are former servants of darkness that he absorbed. So now he has one for Diable, one for Graves, and one for the car.
Which I guess was a person?
Yeah, I assumed that the car was just something that Graves built, but, whatever.
Well, then I think in previous episodes, we've seen Elusio use cards that were, like, specific weapons. So maybe he gets the person and whatever tools they were emotionally bonded to.
Ah, yes. So if he absorbs Sora, for example, he would get Sora, he would get the Keyblade, he would get Roxas, he would get Ventus, he would get Riku, he would get Kairi, because they're all connected.
So many Soras. Also, I will say, now that I think about it, this show is about, like, the dichotomy between love and hatred.
Yes.
And how you might end up hating things, but you should do your best to love things anyway. Maybe he gets whatever that person loved the most. So Graves hated everything, but was really into his car. So he got the dark reflection of that love.
Yes, absolutely. And I know... technically, Rio was a fairy who got converted to darkness. Bibri was a human who got converted. But we do get confirmation that Graves was just a dude who went to the darkness and then became Graves, the punchy guy, the car guy. But I don't know. Previous seasons don't always explain where the bad guys come from, or sometimes it seems like the bad guys are created from the darkness itself. But this season, every villain we've seen so far comes from somewhere, and the darkness corrupts them. Makes you wonder, hint, hint, if Elisio and Noir might have some kind of hidden backstory that we don't know yet. But we have 9 more episodes, so I assume that we're going to take another 7 to fight Elisio a couple of times, and then those last 2... if other PreCures are a good template to follow, we'll get Noir showing up and being like, this is the reason that I hate everyone. One time I ordered a butterscotch pudding, but they overmixed the sugar, and Himari's like, oh, those evil people.
Maze. I really loved the finale of the show. I'm excited for you to get to it.
Also, I love Graves' various form changes. His weird, like, car mecha Godzilla form was not necessarily my favorite, but I guess you have to show the monster getting more menacing somehow. But his... afterwards, when he's been defeated and he has, like, the purpley, evil-y skin, or the
werewolf kind of form.
The werewolf kind of form, or, like, he had one where he had, like, darkness on his hands, and then it, like, wrapped around his arms like snakes, and he was kind of... I referred to it earlier as, like, Super Saiyan. That was a cool as heck form, I think.
Absolutely.
And I think we're ready to go into thoughts from the crew. Tropica thoughts?
Tropica thoughts, tweets in a bottle. Do you have any shining Tropica thoughts from across the sea for us to discuss?
Yes, I found a single bottle, and I open it to discover it's a message from our good friend James, as always. And, what else is there to say other than this was a good character-focused episode, and also for a character that he felt hasn't really been in the spotlight much. Sango, as we've said before, has just been kind of a background pony, and the best thing about her is just her expression. She's very cute, but she hasn't had a chance to really be an active participant. But in this episode, she was able to regain her agency and have a moment where she took center stage, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely.
Something else, if you're listening to this, there's a chance that you're a long-time PreCure fan, but many seasons, I guess, give little hints as to, like, what the next season might look like in some way, shape, or form. I believe that last season's Healing Good had an episode that was about, like, a mermaid princess, and that was, a very slight allusion to Laura and the tropical theme of this season. This episode had a motif from this fashion designer. It was 3 hearts. I think one was pink, one was kind of like a yellow or an orange, and then the last one was like a lavender or purple. And so I saw one person on Twitter speculating, like, could that be the color scheme for the next season? Will next season have 3, like a trio of characters, and then the bonus cure, so for a total of 4? I like that.
Could be. It could also be the 3 girls we got first in this season. Because we've got Summer... Coral and Papaya. I forgot Papaya's name for a second. Joel, I found a secret repository of Tropica thoughts.
You did?
Yes. So you like to make PreCure memes every once in a while and post them on the Reddit. So you did one that was an alignment chart that went from feral to distinguished on one axis, and would never steal has already robbed your grandma on the other axis.
Yeah, it was a 3x3. I remember that one, yes.
Yes. And it's hilarious, and I love it. But one person commented with Emaru stole your taxes. And that's the little goblin from Hugto.
Yeah, that's one of the later characters, right? The one who in the movie with Squawk Walk, she like fell over or something while she was running from the bad guys, I think. So
yes, and she's got a rock guitar. She's adorable. And then the other one that I really liked that I wanted to highlight was Notica from Healing Good would give you whatever was stolen out of her own pockets.
Yes, and I added that Chiyu is the one who bails them out of jail. And wait, no, that's
somebody said that. It wasn't you. You said Asami and Latte.
Yeah, Asami would never do anything, would never commit any crimes, especially not robbery, but if you hurt Latte, she would kill you.
With a gun. We don't know where she got it. Who gave Asami a gun? Asami, please put it down.
And that has been your
doot. Final thought. Outro goes here.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget to Tropica Shine.
PreCure.
Now twirl for me my models of beauty and cuteness.
Designers, make it work.
We bow our heads and give thanks and praise to the cuteness, the one and only cuteness that brightens our days.
In the name of the ribbons, the bows, and the holy sparkle. Amen.
Ha-ha! What a great episode of King of the What Now, your one-piece podcast that started from the very beginning and stars these two doofuses. If you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is the best place to do that. I am at KotWN_pod.
And I am at Pirate Ghost Host.
Absolutely, yes. We share all sorts of thoughts on there, some related to the podcast, some related to other things. But you can also reach us through email at KingOfTheWhatPod@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Patreon. We would love some subscribers or supporters, whatever the technical term is. Patrons. So fancy and grown up. And you can find that at patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod. You can find all sorts of things like bonus episodes, and you get to see the full cold open candidates, not just the ones that make it into the episode. Maybe someday if I learn to draw, I'll put stuff up there. We're always looking for suggestions and feedback. And speaking of which,
please take a moment to rate and review our podcast wherever you get us from. So iTunes, Spotify, Scrivener, that's for writing. But wherever you listen to our podcast, take a moment to leave a review. It helps other people find us. We are so grateful to all of our listeners, and we couldn't do this without you.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is super powerful, so if you have a friend who likes One Piece and they haven't heard of us, just direct them to the latest episode. And if they hate us, they can tell us why. And if there's an actionable item, we'll try to please you. That's how this works. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.